Let me firstly say good morning to everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. It is, I had an awesome time just listening to Richard and to Professor, I'll call her. And it's a very important discussion. And I'm glad that we're having this discussion with the young, talented recipients, hearing how they will be able to challenge the system and challenge the government and push Jamaica towards the innovation that we need if we are going to be able to really maximize the opportunities that come from these crises and challenges globally. So firstly, let me say my acknowledgements to the Seprod Foundation team. The government cannot advance food security alone. It has to be a collaborative approach, and a big part of that approach requires our corporate companies and stakeholders to step up and to identify ways to encourage the kind of involvement and engagement that we need if we are going to be able to focus on building up a robust and sustainable agricultural sector. And this is a big part of it. You providing this support to the students is essential. So thanks to you, Seprod, and congrats again to your entire team, and congrats to the recipients. Now, a lot has been said, and the reality is that we are facing as a world the issues relating to COVID-19, issues related to the international conflicts. We're facing climate change, which I didn't hear about much, but that's another big issue in terms of the vulnerability of our country, as well as just over time, the inability for us to really upgrade our technology and our practices. So we have very slow technology adaptation and innovation. So those are four of what I think are the vulnerabilities that relate to our agri-food system. And the question is, so what do we do? As a country, we have to see agribusiness as playing a role in many different ways. I want to identify four: food production, food availability, food affordability, and the overall competitiveness of the sector. And so from a policy perspective, we are focused on areas related to crop production, to fisheries, to increasing livestock, to soil management, and I noticed we were discussing 4-H, youth involvement. And I must also say that our 4-H chairman was just recently appointed as a global leader in 4-H. So Jamaica is doing big things in the 4-H club, and you're going to see later on in the year some announcements coming out of my sectoral that will even throw greater focus on youth involvement and involvement of our women. And so I pause to invite everyone to listen to or to join in on May 10th, where I'm going to have an opportunity to speak to Jamaica about agriculture at a large scale in Parliament. So back to what we're doing. So from a policy perspective, we're focused. We have our top crop priorities and priority in terms of boosting production. And we do so in a number of ways. Let me name a few. We have the National Livestock Genetic Improvement and Breeding Technology Program, which is launched in November 2021 and aimed at expanding production in the livestock industry through the provision of what we define as high quality stock. And that will help us to reduce our import bill to be able to provide sufficiently for ourselves here. And it's a 3-year program that will allow our cattle farmers, both in beef and dairy, and also the small ruminant farmers, to have access now to straws of semen and more than 350 embryos. And this is intended in the long run to improve the productivity of our animals. And as you know, we want to increase our efficiency. So we see science, we see farming as a science, and this is a big part of really getting it right. Another thing is the boosting of local inputs for industries such as poultry, for instance. So we're exploring the development of low-cost feed for our poultry farmers through our research and development arm now. And This is going to help us to identify opportunities for producing formula feed that will possibly be cheaper and utilize our Jamaican raw materials as alternatives, supplements, or replacements, because we have to reduce the dependency on synthetic fertilizers and the dependency on food being imported. And so research and development is going to be critical for us. We're pumping some money into it, and we will need the support of corporate Jamaica. So we'll reach out to you in that regard. Another thing is, as you know, we have the Productive Incentive Program, and that program implemented by RADA is aimed at stimulating and expanding production locally on the selected crops, those priority crops that we have. And our goal is to boost the local supply. So again, we can reduce importation, reduce the risk attendant in terms of the skyrocketing prices. And some of the crops that we're targeting would be the yams, the onions, the cassava, Irish potato. And if you follow me on social media, you would have seen me digging my Irish potato and reaping my potato myself. Not to mention that I actually wasn't sure where to put the fork, and so I ended up sticking the potato and damaging one. But you live and you learn. So Irish potato, dasheen, ginger, hot peppers, pineapple, that's another one as well. So a number of crops that we are focused on through our production incentive program. And our efforts are coupled now with the provision of technical expertise in the form of training and field demonstrations, logistics support, monitoring and evaluation support, as well as distribution of planting materials and agricultural chemicals. And that's also where it becomes critical for us to make sure we are focused on the education of our farmers. I heard Richard mention it, and the reality is we have data that suggests that you have almost 30% of the registered farmers who either didn't get the opportunity to be educated, or it's nondescript, meaning we don't know. Either way, that's bad, and we have to use that information to drive our policy and drive our decisions and drive the projects that we're developing. And so we have to have projects developed that will assist in raising the academic acumen and ability for our farmers to be able to operate, to read the chemicals, the warnings on the pesticides, to read the operational manuals. And where we acknowledge that there is some insufficiency, we also have to transition in the way we are communicating. So there are many things, and that's a part of what I'll be speaking about in my sectoral on May 10th. And let's get back to what we're doing. So we are also doing the development of agro-production zones. And I see that my time is running out, so let me move quickly. So with the AIC, the Agro Investment Corporation, we're focused on partnership to define specific areas where we're going to grow efficiently our crops. We have tilapia production through aquaculture, which is being boosted. Implementing the marketing and promotion campaign is going to be critical. Renovating our ponds and developing, again, a genetic improvement program for tilapia. And I would say, let me focus on our rural youth. 4-H was mentioned, and it's critical because we have an aging population of farmers, which we need to generate now, not just crops, but generate those new farmers and incentivize them, encourage them. That's why Seprod is getting a top award from me right now, because what you're doing is really pushing now the encouragement in our youth for them to not just get an education and then leave, but get an education and sustain in terms of becoming farmers and helping to provide the food that we need on our tables. So we have the soil fertility mapping as well, and I'll just mention quickly a few others. Development of seed nurseries is critical. The soil fertility project to know what we're putting those seeds into. The strengthening of our bilateral operations and partnerships. And I was just coming from Ecuador, where I sat down with the Director General of FAO. The boosting of backyard farming, which is also not just in your home, but in your school and your church. And the promotion of the consumption of local Jamaican products. So we want local produce and products to be focused on and our ground provision, our cassava, our breadfruit flour. These are things that we have to push. And there's several opportunities as I close for our young people to get involved in agribusiness, develop value-added products, diversify the offerings that we have in this country in terms of agriculture. And we are going to help. One last thing, I know that it's important for us to look on the post-harvesting, and so we have projects now focused on increasing our capacity in storage, increasing cold chain storage facilities, several things that we have to do. I'll close off by saying this. There is, without a doubt, a global challenge, but I think that there is even greater for Jamaica, significant opportunities. And we are compelled to look within, to bind together, and to find ways to really be able to become more self-sufficient. And we are looking to the young people that Seprod has identified, has assisted. We're looking to you to be our innovators, to be the thinkers, the critical thinkers for tomorrow. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be a part of the panel, and I look forward to the discussion. One love.